8 people were murdered in their sleep. The killer covered every mirror in the house, and then sat in the dark and waited for morning. Welcome to Drawn to Crime, where real mysteries unfold through animation. In this episode, we cover the Villisca axe murders, one of the most chilling, unsolved mass killings in American history. And once you hear what was found inside that house, you'll understand why nobody in that town ever slept the same way again. I want you to picture something. It's the early hours of the 11th of June, 1912. You live in Villisca, Iowa, a small, quiet town where everybody knows everybody, a town where people don't lock their doors. Somewhere on your street, a family is asleep, a mother and father, 4 children, and 2 little girls who had come over for a sleepover after church that evening. 8 people, all asleep, all completely unaware. And someone is inside that house with them. Not breaking in, not rushing, moving slowly through the darkness, from room to room, with an axe. By morning, all 8 of them were dead, and the killer was gone, like they were never there at all. The Moore family were well liked in Villisca. Josiah Moore was a successful businessman, respected, active in the community. His wife Sarah kept the home. They had 4 children, Herman, Mary, Arthur, and Paul, ranging from 5 to 11 years old. On the evening of the 9th of June, the family attended a children's program at their local Presbyterian church. 2 young sisters from the neighborhood, Lena and Ina Stillinger, aged 12 and 8, came home with them afterwards for the night. It was a perfectly normal evening. Neighbors reported seeing lights in the Moore house until around 9 or 10 o'clock. Then the lights went out. And sometime in the hours that followed, someone entered that house. The next morning, a neighbor noticed something wrong. The Moore house was unusually quiet. No movement. No smoke from the chimney. The children hadn't come out to play.
Hello?
She knocked. No answer. She called for Josiah. Nothing. Josiah's brother was contacted. He came with a key. And when he opened that front door and stepped inside, he found them. All 8. In their beds. Each one killed with the blunt end of an axe while they slept. The coroner later determined that most of them never woke up, never knew what was happening. But here's where this case stops being just a tragedy and becomes something genuinely disturbing. The mirrors. Every single mirror in the house had been covered, with clothing, with bed sheets, with whatever was at hand, deliberately, methodically. The ceiling above each bed had been gouged with the axe blade. Not during the attacks. The angle was wrong for that. Investigators believed the killer had stood in each room in complete darkness and swung the axe overhead, practicing, getting a feel for the space. In the dark, while the family slept below them. And on the floor beside the axe, a slab of raw bacon, left there neatly. No explanation. No reason anyone has ever been able to satisfactorily account for. Whoever did this wasn't panicked, wasn't rushed. They moved through that house with complete calm, like they had all the time in the world. The axe belonged to Josiah Moore himself. The killer had found it on the property, in the barn or outbuilding, and brought it into the house. They had also locked every door and pulled every blind. The house was sealed from the inside, which means whoever did this spent time inside that house after the murders were complete, moving through the rooms, covering mirrors, locking up, arranging things. The Stillinger girls were found in the downstairs guest room. Lena, the elder of the 2, at 12 years old, showed signs that the killer had lingered at her bedside longer than the others. She was 12 years old. The youngest victim, little Paul Moore, was 5. Investigators estimated the murders had taken place somewhere between midnight and 5 in the morning. In a town where nobody locked their doors, on a quiet residential street, 8 people were killed, and not one neighbor heard a sound. Word spread through Villisca within hours, and what happened next tells you everything about the era. Before the crime scene could be properly secured, hundreds of townspeople walked through that house. Curious, horrified, tracking through evidence, touching things, contaminating everything. By the time proper investigators arrived, the scene was compromised beyond recovery. Despite this, suspects emerged quickly. A traveling minister named Reverend George Kelly had been in Villisca the night of the murders and left on an early train the next morning. He later made strange, incriminating statements and was eventually tried for the murders. He was acquitted. A second man, a local figure with a history of violence named William Mansfield, was also suspected and tried. Also acquitted. The investigation was plagued by mishandled evidence, conflicting witness accounts, and the contamination from that first day. A private detective hired by the state made things significantly worse by planting evidence and coaching witnesses, undermining any chance of a clean prosecution. No one was ever convicted. The case went cold. And in Villisca, a town of just 2,000 people, everyone had to keep living alongside the possibility that whoever did this was one of them. More than a century later, there are still 3 main theories, and none of them can be definitively ruled out. The first is Reverend George Kelly. His behavior after leaving Villisca was erratic and strange. He made comments to people that suggested knowledge of the crime. Some investigators who studied the case closely believe he was the most likely perpetrator. The second is William Mansfield, a drifter with documented violent history who some researchers believe was responsible for a series of similar axe murders across the Midwest during the same period. If that theory holds, Villisca wasn't an isolated event. It was one stop on a killing trail. And the third theory, the one that never quite goes away, is that it was someone local, someone who knew the house, knew the family's routine, knew that the Stillinger girls would be staying over that particular night. Someone who went home afterwards and kept their secret for the rest of their life. The covered mirrors have fueled theories of their own. Some believe it points to religious guilt, a killer who couldn't face their own reflection. Others think it was calculated misdirection, designed to confuse investigators about motive. And the bacon? Over 100 years of theories, and not one convincing explanation. The Moore family house still stands in Villisca, Iowa. It's a museum now. Thousands of people visit every year, some to pay their respects, some drawn by the darkness of what happened there. People have reported strange experiences inside, cold spots, unexplained sounds. Whether you believe in that or not, there's no denying that something in that house stays with you. 8 people went to sleep on an ordinary summer night in a small town where nothing bad ever happened. Josiah and Sarah Moore, Herman, Mary, Arthur, and Paul, Lena and Ina Stillinger. And whoever walked into that house and covered those mirrors and practiced those swings in the dark got away with it completely. So I need to know, do you think it was Reverend Kelly, Mansfield the drifter, or someone in that town who went to the funeral, shook hands with the grieving neighbors, and never said a word? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if this one kept you up tonight, you need to hear about 3 children who vanished from a crowded Australian beach on a summer morning, in front of hundreds of witnesses, and were never seen again. That story is right here. Go watch it next.